thank you very much. And Mayor Ballard, thank you for that. Can you guys hear me? Yes. And thank you for that kind introduction. And thank you to the Freedom Indiana Campaign Board. And especially thank you to Megan for inviting me here and for making it possible for me to be here tonight. It's great to actually get to be with you guys. And thank you to all of you for being here and for supporting the fight against HJR 6. It's great to be in Indiana tonight, although I'm sure some people are wondering why I'm actually in Indiana and why I chose to get involved with this particular effort. There are actually two answers to that question. The first is that while I am not, to my everlasting regret, while I am not a Hoosier, I do have some good friends who are and who care very deeply about this issue. And when they asked me if I would get involved, I told them I would be more than happy to do so. The second reason is because this is an incredibly personal issue for me, one that couldn't possibly hit closer to home. As some of you may know, a little over a year ago, my partner Heather and I went before a judge in Washington, D.C., and were legally married. We've been together now as a couple for over 21 years, and we have two absolutely amazing children, a 6-year-old son and a 4-year-old daughter. Now, it wasn't that long ago that being two moms with two kids would have made us stand out, would have raised an awful lot of eyebrows, and I'm not going to lie to you, it still does. But that's changing. And when we drop our kids at school or take them swimming or to a birthday party, anymore, we're just Sam and Sarah's moms, which I would like to say on the record is the coolest title ever. But the reason those eyebrows don't shoot up quite as often as they used to is because people have started to understand and realize my family isn't that unique. There are thousands and thousands of families like mine all across this country and right here in Indiana. I'm sure you won't be surprised to hear that I support the idea of marriage equality. You probably figured that out when I told you I married somebody named Heather. But you don't have to support marriage equality to oppose HJR 6. It's just a bad piece of legislation. And the more I learn about it, the more I read about it, the more I realize just how bad it is. I'm sure you guys have all heard the criticisms. It's vague, it's poorly written, it's unclear what kind of impact it would have on contracts, existing marriages, or employee benefits. It would permanently write discrimination into the Indiana Constitution. And even if you are someone who is totally opposed to the idea of marriage equality, it is completely unnecessary, since it's already illegal for same-sex couples to get married in Indiana. If you have any idea about how bad it truly is, all you have to do is look at the impressive coalition that has come together to oppose it. The Greater Indianapolis Chamber of Commerce, Lilly, Cummins, Indiana University, and many other colleges and universities in the state, and the City and County Council of Indianapolis, just to name a few. Yeah, before I came here tonight, I did some research, which means I did some Googling. And I found lots of articles and statements about how, if it's passed, HJR 6 would negatively impact Indiana's economy and the state's ability to attract businesses and top talent. And all of that is true, and all of that is so important. But from my perspective, one of the main reasons to oppose HJR 6 is because of the impact it would have on families. Like a lot of states, Indiana doesn't offer much in the way of protections for same-sex and unmarried couples and families. But if this amendment passes, the few protections that are in place could be stripped away. Now, this may come as a shock to some of you, but I'm pretty conservative. Actually, I'm really conservative. I mean, look, I'm pro-life, I'm pro-gun. I think more government is almost never the solution to any problem. And I believe you can't have personal freedom without personal responsibility. And as a conservative, I also believe that strong families are the cornerstone of our society, and that we as a society should do everything we can to ensure that all families are provided with the greatest opportunity for success. Now, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I believe that all families, regardless of how they look or how they're made or where they live, that all families deserve to be treated with the same respect, dignity, legal rights, and recognitions as every other. I firmly believe that, and I certainly hope that our country will continue to move towards that goal. And I also know that while certainly a step in the right direction, defeating HJR 6 won't get us there, not even close. Not everyone who is part of the coalition opposing HJR 6 supports marriage equality. Probably not everybody in this room supports it. But you know what? That's okay, because that's not what this is about. This isn't about marriage equality. This is about standing up and opposing an amendment that would hurt Indiana's economy, impact the state's future development, and potentially devastate many of the state's families. The people of Indiana, just like everyone else in America, will continue to debate marriage equality, and we should. And we may never all agree on the issue. That happens when you live in a democracy. But while we may never agree on marriage equality, we can certainly all agree that this amendment is not the way to deal with the issue. And I would strongly urge the legislature and the people of Indiana to reject it. Thank you very much for having me here tonight. Thank you very much for being here tonight. And thank you for supporting Freedom Indiana and the fight against HJR 6.